The co-hosts of The View are no strangers to political discussions. During a recent episode, Whoopi Goldberg criticized former President Barack Obama. The discussion also saw Goldberg criticize another figure, known to many for their role on a reality series. Whoopi Goldberg brought up a recent New Jersey fundraiser. Barack Obama appeared at. Goldberg is known for her work as an actress and comedian. Since 2007, she has also made a name for herself as a co-host on The View. As fans know, the series often features the co-hosts discussing politics and current events. During a recent episode, Goldberg had a response for former President Barack Obama after he appeared at a recent event. During a recent discussion on the show, Whoopi Goldberg brought up a recent fundraiser in New Jersey where Obama shared a blunt message. According to Goldberg, he told Democrats to toughen up, saying that change will require a little less navel-gazing and a little less whining. Goldberg then addressed billionaire businessman Mark Cuban of Shark Tank fame. Cutting to a virtual speech from Cuban, he could be heard saying, "We picked the wrong pressure points," feeling Democrats were too focused on subverting President Donald Trump. As he noted, "You can't. That's not the way to win. It's not about Trump. It's about the people of the United States of America and what's good for them." The show then cut back to Goldberg, who shared her own response. As she shared, "Let me remind everybody who was out on the front lines marching when we had the giant marches that went on. It was the people. The people went out. They were not navel-gazing. It was older people who were saying, 'Why are you touching my Social Security?'" The other co-hosts of The View also weighed in on the issue. It was not people whining. It was about people saying, "Why are you taking these rights away from my child when my child was born here?" As Goldberg continued, she felt the issue was less Democrats laying back and more about y'all. In other words, she claimed that elected officials were acting in contrast to the messaging of the people. She continued, "With much due respect to you both, I believe you're pointing the finger at the wrong person when you say Democrats." Co-host Sarah Haynes also made sure to clarify that Whoopi was contrasting voters with elected officials. Goldberg noted, "Cuban is saying our messaging is bad, and I'm saying no, our messaging has not been bad, because people have been out." Many of Goldberg's co-hosts also weighed in on the issue. For her part, Haynes shared, "People want common sense solutions, and no Democrat is coming out and saying this is a decades-old log problem. It crosses all administrations." Alyssa Farah Griffin also shared, "It feels like every election we're running on the same things. I want people to come up with new and big ideas to tackle the future." According to the New York Times, Obama's words came out during a private discussion with Democratic donors this past Friday at an event. According to the publication, he shared, "It's going to require a little bit less navel-gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions. And it's going to require Democrats to just toughen up." Whoopi Goldberg challenges Obama and Cuban on The View. A fiery political debatees. Co-hosts of The View are renowned for their unfiltered takes on politics and current events, and the July 25, 2025 episode was no exception. In a heated discussion, Whoopi Goldberg took aim at former President Barack Obama and billionaire Shark Tank star Mark Cuban, critiquing their recent remarks about the Democratic Party's strategy. The exchange, which saw Goldberg passionately defending grassroots activism, sparked a lively debate among the co-hosts and resonated with viewers. Here's a closer look at the controversy, the co-hosts' perspectives, and what it reveals about the state of political discourse. The catalyst, Obama's fundraiser remarks. The discussion kicked off when Goldberg referenced a recent fundraiser in New Jersey where former President Barack Obama delivered what he called a blunt message to Democratic donors. According to reports from the New York Times, Obama urged Democrats to toughen up, criticizing what he described as excessive navel-gazing and whining within the party. He argued that Democrats needed to move past introspection and focus on actionable strategies to counter political challenges, particularly in the wake of President Donald Trump's influence. Goldberg, however, was not having it. Known for her candid commentary and deep-rooted activism, she pushed back against Obama's characterization of Democratic voters. "Let me remind everybody who was out on the front lines marching when we had the giant marches that went on. It was the people," she declared. "The people went out. They were not navel-gazing. It was older people who were saying, 'Why are you touching my Social Security?'" Goldberg's remarks underscored her belief that Obama's critique unfairly targeted grassroots activists rather than elected officials. She argued that the public's engagement through protests and advocacy demonstrated a commitment to change, not complacency. "It was not people whining," she continued. "It was about people saying, 'Why are you taking these rights away from my child when my child was born here?'" Mark Cuban enters the fray. Conversation took another turn when Goldberg addressed comments from Mark Cuban, the billionaire entrepreneur and Shark Tank investor. In a virtual speech shown during the episode, Cuban suggested that Democrats had focused too much on subverting Trump rather than prioritizing the needs of the American people. "We picked the wrong pressure points," he said. "You can't. That's not the way to win. It's not about Trump. It's about the people of the United States of America and what's good for them." Goldberg swiftly countered Cuban's perspective, arguing that the issue wasn't the messaging of Democratic voters, but rather the actions of elected officials. "With much due respect to you both, I believe you're pointing the finger at the wrong person when you say Democrats," she said. She emphasized that the public's messaging through marches and advocacy had been clear and consistent, while politicians had failed to align with the people's priorities. Co-host Sarah Haynes clarified Goldberg's point, noting that she was distinguishing between voters and elected officials. Co-hosts weigh in. A clash of perspective. She debate didn't end with Goldberg's rebuttal. Her co-hosts jumped into the fray, each offering their take on the Democratic Party's challenges. Sarah Haynes argued that voters were craving common-sense solutions and expressed frustration that no Democratic leader had acknowledged the long-standing, systemic issues affecting the country. "People want solutions, and no Democrat is coming out and saying this is a decades-old log problem. It crosses all administrations," she said. Alyssa Farah Griffin, another co-host, echoed the call for fresh ideas. "It feels like every election we're running on the same things," she remarked. "I want people to come up with new and big ideas to tackle the future." Griffin's comments reflected a broader sentiment that the Democratic Party needed to evolve its platform to address emerging challenges, rather than relying on familiar talking points. The lively exchange highlighted the diversity of perspectives on the Views panel, with each co-host bringing their unique lens to the discussion. While Goldberg focused on defending the activism of ordinary citizens, Haynes and Griffin emphasized the need for innovative leadership and policy solutions. The debate underscored the complexity of navigating political strategy in a polarized era, with no easy answers for how Democrats should move forward. Fan reactions and broader implications. The episode sparked a flurry of reactions on social media, particularly on platforms like X, where viewers praised Goldberg's passionate defense of grassroots activism. "Whoopi is right. People have been out there fighting for their rights, not whining," one user posted. Others appreciated the co-host's willingness to challenge prominent figures like Obama and Cuban, with one commenter noting, "This is why I watch The View. They don't hold back." However, some viewers felt the discussion veered into unproductive territory, with Obama's and Cuban's remarks being taken out of context. Obama was talking about party strategy, not attacking voters, one ex-user argued. "Whoopi's passion is great, but she missed the point." The split reactions reflect the broader challenge of interpreting political rhetoric in a way that resonates with both activists and strategists.